Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, by Shem, Raka Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Raya with another video, and I'll be reading from an article on RT.com titled, Iran's Rouhani joins Putin and Erdogan for Syria talks amid Saudi oil facilities attack debacle. And this is all a part of biblical prophecy that these three nations are coming together. And they're coming together to form an alliance for World War III, which is quickly coming upon us. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe is past, and that word woe means destruction, and that one woe is referring to World War I. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II and World War III. And the main theater for World War III is going to be in the Middle East, which is going to kick off that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, or that War of Armageddon. As it states in Joel chapter 3, I'm going to start at verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, and we're living in these times right now, the last seconds of the last days, the last rulership of the heathens, chiefly Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, the southern kingdom, or the so-called Negroes, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, or the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, the elect of both tribes waking back up to their identity, that they're the true children of Israel, and hearkening back unto their power, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Verse 2, I will also gather all nations, Iran, Turkey, Russia, the United States of America, the state of Israel, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Germany, France, Britain, India, you name it, and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, that Middle Eastern region. And that word Jehoshaphat means Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. And that word plead doesn't mean that the Most High is going to come to you heathens and ask nicely for you to let his people go. When we go to that word plead in the Strongs, it's H8199.
Strong's H8199. Shaphat.
Shaphat. To judge, govern, vindicate, punish, avenged, condemn, execute. The Most High is gathering you heathens down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat to judge you for all the iniquity you've committed against the apple of his eye, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true children of Israel, not just in the past, but all the way up until today, whom they have scattered among the nations, taken the southern kingdom from the west coasts of Africa to the Americas for slavery, as well as taken some of the northern kingdom to Europe through the transatlantic slave trade, and parted my land. You've got heathens living in the land right now, parted between the Amalekite Edomites, calling themselves Israelis, as well as you Ishmaelite so-called Arab Palestinians. Neither of you are supposed to be there. Verse 3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Slavery. But not just slavery in the past, but all the things you do to us today. Shoot our people down dead in the streets by these cops, break up families, and send those children to who knows where with those ICE detention centers. In regards to the so-called Latinos of the Northern Kingdom, put Planned Parenthood into our neighborhoods to advocate for abortion among the tribes, as well as giving us poisonous food and water. And if you have the eyes to see, and you've been keeping up with the news, you can see tensions are building up in the Middle East. During the summer, you had that oil tanker situation going on around the Strait of Hormuz. A couple of weeks ago, you had the state of Israel do airstrikes in Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria. And just this past weekend, there was an attack on Saudi Arabian oil facilities, which the U.S. is blaming on Iran to advocate for war with Iran. But what's going to kick off that war against Iran is the state of Israel creating some kind of false flag situation or provocation to look justified in going to war against Iran, as well as making Iran look like the aggressor. And once the state of Israel does that, that's going to be a fulfillment of Jeremiah 49 verse 20, which states that the least of the flock, the state of Israel, shall draw them out, draw these other heathen nations down into the valley of Jehoshaphat for this war of Armageddon. On the side of Israel is going to be the United States of America and other NATO nations, and on the side of Iran is going to be Russia, China, Turkey, and other nations sympathetic to Iran. And as I said at the beginning of the video, Iran meeting with Russia and Turkey is a part of biblical prophecy as well. More specifically, Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to start at verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, which is the biblical name for Russia, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And this is speaking of the Most High putting that old Cold War era Soviet Union spirit back onto these Russians to where they're not afraid to be confrontational towards the United States, proudly boasting in their hypersonic weapons, sailing naval ships into ports in Cuba, which has a Cuban Missile Crisis vibe to it, as well as flying military planes to Venezuela, which are nuclear capable, which is a clear sign to the United States of America that we can get into your backyard. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, and a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Russia's military equipment in the Middle East, such as the S-300 and S-400 anti-missile defense system, naval ships, their hypersonic weaponry, tanks, fighter jets, you name it. Verse 5, Persia, the ancient name for Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, which is speaking of Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Back in that article on RT, Iran's Rouhani joins Putin and Erdogan for Syria talks amid Saudi oil facilities attack debacle. And best believe that it was Putin that put this meeting together. Whenever tensions flare up in the Middle East in regards to Iran or Syria, it's always Russia coming in and being a guard unto these smaller nations, trying to diffuse the tensions. Besides that, some other examples of Russia being a guard unto smaller nations like Turkey and Iran is Russia selling the S-400 anti-missile defense system to Turkey, Russia selling the S-300 to Iran, as well as planning to do joint naval drills in the Persian Gulf with them. And you've even got Russia slick side talking shit to the United States of America by telling Saudi Arabia that we can sell you the S-400 to protect you, since it looks like the US isn't doing a good job. The presidents of Russia, Gog, Iran, Persia, and Turkey, Gomer, are meeting for talks centered on resolving the conflict in Syria. This is the first international public appearance of Hassan Rouhani, as Iran is accused of Saudi Arabia attack by US. And best believe that there's some Amalekite, Edomite Israelis behind the scenes pulling the strings to get the United States to say that they're locked and loaded and ready to retaliate against Iran. Jeremiah 49 and 20. I'm going to jump around a bit in this article. Over the weekend, Washington said Iran was behind Saturday drone attacks on Saudi oil facilities, despite Yemen's Houthi rebel group taking responsibility for the strikes. The incident ratcheted up already tense relations between the two countries, who have been embroiled in a war of words since U.S. President Donald Trump took the U.S. out of a nuclear pact signed between Iran and world powers and imposed a raft of crippling sanctions on the country's economy. That's pretty much it with this article. But yeah, all these different situations taking place are all going to culminate in World War III, that Battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat in the Middle East. Back in Joel chapter 3, I'm going to jump to verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which the men of the Lord are doing, chiefly through GMS, by going out there on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. Prepare war, World War III, War of Armageddon, nuclear war, that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, war with Iran, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Back in verse 2, and I will also gather all nations, the mighty men of these heathens, and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead or judge them there for my heritage Israel. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And weak nations like Iran are saying they're strong by telling the United States that they're ready for war against them, and it'll be the biggest mistakes of their life. And also telling the state of Israel that if they go to war with Iran, they'll wipe them off the face of the earth. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, and those mighty ones are the death angels of the Most High, waiting to get the sign to release all this destruction. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened, the United States of America, Russia, the state of Israel, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and come up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about for touching the apple of my eye, the children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Verse 13, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And this day of Yahweh is near. So to you Akim out there, now's not the time to be getting weak in the faith. You should be fully assured in your faith in Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, and have all 10 toes down in this truth, pushing this word as hard as you can to make your calling and election sure. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Bal, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.